Now.
Hi, I'm Urmita from Bangladesh.
Hi, I'm Nashita. I'm also from Bangladesh.
Hi, I'm Kavya from Nepal, and today we're going to showcase our business case study for the IU Overtrack 2026 competition. Without further ado, let's get started.
Bangladesh is at a critical turning point and it is expected to graduate from the UN's least developed country status in late 2026. This means the country will gradually lose trade benefits such as duty-free and quota-free market access and must shift from preference-driven growth to a more competitive, export-oriented economy. At the same time, GDP growth remains uncertain, highlighting the need for new strategies to support long-term economic development. Bangladesh faces a major structural challenge, and its economy is heavily dependent on the ready-made garment industries and a small number of export markets. This makes the country vulnerable to global demand shocks, threatening development, export earning, and economic growth. Bangladesh must diversify into higher value industries and improve trade competitiveness through lower logistic costs. Secondly, Bangladesh will graduate from LDC status, losing its preferential trade access. Exporters will need to compete on productivity rather than tariff advantages. A commercial hub with modern infrastructure can lower logistic costs, improving supply chain efficiency, and create an attractive environment for foreign investment and export-oriented industries. Thirdly, Bangladesh faces fiscal constraints with tax revenue, a lower percentage of the total GDP, and higher level of non-performing loans. This limits the government's ability to finance large infrastructure projects. A commercial hub can attract foreign direct investments, public-private partnership, and multilateral financing, reduce pressure on the government's budget. Finally, Bangladesh faces regional economic imbalance. Most industries are centered in Dhaka and Chattogram. This creates unequal development and places pressure on existing urban infrastructure and public services. A new commercial hub can become a regional growth center, creating jobs, attracting investment, and promoting more balanced economic development across the country. So, our proposal is to achieve long-term development by building a commercial hub or special economic zone in Matarbari. Thank you.
Matarbari is an attractive economic location as it is Bangladesh's first deep sea port, handling vessels up to 8,200 TEUs, reducing logistics costs and shipping times, while supporting future diversification beyond the RMG sector. It also has existing power lines, manufacturing facilities, supply and transport lines, making the development and investment of this SEZ lower risk than building one anew. Matarbari benefits from an established partnership with Japan, offering financing and technical expertise. This attracts FDI and lessens dependence on government funding, which is important given Bangladesh's low tax to GDP ratio. Matarbari also has the potential to become a new economic hub, supporting logistics, energy, manufacturing, and the blue economy. Matarbari addresses the main challenges facing Bangladesh. First, it reduces export concentration in RMG by supporting diversified industries through the port and the Matarbari SEZ. Secondly, it improves trade competitiveness after the LDC graduation by shortening shipping times with support from GICA and the Big B initiative, which increases investor confidence. Thirdly, fiscal and investment constraints are eased through existing Japanese funding and international partnerships. Finally, developing Matarbari and Cox's Bazar as a new commercial hub stimulates employment and equal regional development. Now you have the cost-benefit analysis. In terms of private benefits, the project will reduce maritime transport costs by accommodating larger ships instead of smaller feeder vessels. It will also reduce congestion surges and demurrage costs, which the GICA identified as the project's main benefit. On the cost side, there are high capital investment and operational costs alongside constructional delays. These can be measured using vessel size, waiting times, cargo throughput, and demurrage costs. This project will reduce travel time and transport costs, improving connectivity between Matarbari and Bangladesh overall. It will also increase employment, incomes, and regional GDP whilst lowering poverty. However, there are resettlement compensation, land acquisition, and infrastructure maintenance costs, alongside the pressure on public services. These can be measured through travel time saved, households resettled, and GDP contribution. Finally, we have the environmental dimension. These benefits come from direct shipping, using larger vessels, improving fuel efficiency, and the potential for greener shipping if modern technologies are adopted. However, the project may disturb ecosystems, cause construction-related pollution, and incur environmental mitigation costs. These impacts can be measured through annual CO2 emissions and changes in the water quality. There are several policies needed to ensure this project's success. Firstly, industrial policies should provide strong government commitment, clear performance targets, and institutional autonomy to effectively manage the SEZ. Infrastructure policies should create links to major industrial areas in Bangladesh and invest in reliable power and infrastructure to improve competitiveness and efficiency across different industries in the SEZ. Finally, environmental and social policies should strengthen environmental safeguards through EIAs and emissions monitoring, while ensuring fair competition and livelihood restoration for affected communities. Strengthening links with domestic enterprises will also maximize local and social benefits. Further policies for trade facilitation should include digital customs, a single window clearance system, and simpler administrative procedures to lower logistic costs. Digital record keeping should also be implemented to ensure legal compliance. And finally, investment incentives should include providing tax breaks, fiscal and non-fiscal measures to reduce investment costs as well. Skilled labor should be supported through housing, education, and training. These measures will promote FDI and technology transfer while ensuring Matarbari doesn't turn into an empty zone.
Now, let's begin with the financial feasibility of the project. In the short term, from 2026 to 2030, the project requires significant investment in port and transport infrastructure. However, funding from the GICA, public-private partnerships, and foreign direct investment helps reduce the financial burden while creating jobs. In the long term, from 2030 to 2045, the port is expected to generate sustainable revenue through port fees, custom duties, and taxes. Lower logistics costs will attract more industries and investment, making the development zone financially stable and self-sustaining. Financial metrics. This financial metrics summarizes the transition from short-term costs to long-term benefits. Initially, capital requirements and government spending are high, while revenue remains limited. Over time, foreign direct exports, tax revenue, port income increased significantly, reducing financial risks and making the project highly feasible. Key risks and mitigation. Like any large-scale project, this development has risks. Competition from other regional ports can be addressed through competitive pricing and cargo diversification. Environmental risks such as cyclones require resilient infrastructure and insurance. Financial risks can be managed through foreign exchange hedging, while operational delays can be reduced contingently planning. Social and geopolitical concerns require coordination with international organizations and clear security measures. Finally, this graph represents the risk analysis. Justification. Our proposal is strongly justified because much of the required infrastructure is already operational, proving the project's feasibility. Matabadi also serves Bangladesh's shipping limitations by accommodating larger vessels directly. With long-term support from GICA and strong economic returns, the project has a likelihood of high success and long-term impact. In conclusion, although the project requires high initial investment, its long-term benefits far outweigh the cost. With strong financial backing, effective risk management, and significant economic potential, the Matabari Development Zone is a sustainable investment that can drive Bangladesh's future economic growth. Thank you so much.